This week's Brew of the Coaches question comes from Helen Plant. I have been struck with piriformis syndrome, literally a pain in the arse. I'm working with a physio to get on top of it and avoid re-injury, but any other insights, advice would be really helpful. Running is the thing that really seems to aggravate it. I'm a 52-year-old mid-pack runner. I run 25 to 40 miles per week, depending on what else is going on and where I am in a training plan, plus about 15 to 20 miles of dog walking. Also, I do strength work and yoga. The injury appeared to come suddenly after a couple of big hill sessions, but I know from yoga, the left hip has always been tighter, so this was probably building for a while. I have narrow hips, which I understand will be a risk factor. I use a standing desk for work. Love the pod. Keep up the excellent work. Helen Plant. Well, for me, piriformis syndrome, it seems super common, but maybe in my earlier journey as a runner, I'm not too sure of Helen's history as a runner, and I do feel it occasionally still if I basically neglect strength and conditioning, if I take my eye off it. What about you guys? Any experience, Trish, any experience with yourself or any of your athletes with piriformis syndrome?
Yeah, so I used to get piriformis syndrome quite a bit. The major reason for me getting it, I think, was predominantly strength training. So it's good that you're doing strength training. I'd say continue it. It depends what you're doing, basically, for strength training. So, you do need to be, I would say, lifting heavier weights, and it does need to be quite specific to the area that obviously where you're having the issue in your butt. So continue with the strength work. And obviously if you're working with a physio, I'd assume a physio would be giving you specific strength exercises that are going to help with that. So the physio is, they're the ones who are going to know exactly where you need to target your strength work there. So continue doing that. One of the biggest things that's worked for me in terms of getting rid of it, I found, is using a massage gun. So after I do like a speed session or a hard session, I will get my massage gun out and I will sit on the sofa or whatever, and I will use my gun, and I do that quite regularly, and particularly after after a good hard session. So get your gun out, get it around the bum, get it also around the hip area as well. I've had quite bad fractal tears around my hips as well, and you might have elements of that which contribute to tightening of the hip and that as well. So really get the gun out, get it all around the hip area and the butt, and that's been a massive game changer for me. I don't have any issues now, I would say, with that. So yeah, check that out. It might work for you, it might not.
Keeping it loose is key, isn't it? It's the tightening that causes the pain. And so I would add, if a Theragun, or I'm sure there's other guns on the market, foam rolling as well, to before, after, not like super hard, but just to keep it relaxed, sitting on a spiky ball as well, maybe while you're working, or as Trish said, on the sofa, just trying to get the muscle to relax, because it's not actually like a torn muscle, is it? It's like a tightening. And so you want to keep reminding that muscle that it doesn't need to be tight all the time, that it can relax. Definitely look as well before any running, that you're doing some glute activation as well. So there's loads of stuff on the internet, but things like clamshell, bird dogs, fire hydrants, a little bit of light rolling, some monster walks, using your band to make sure that your glutes are warmed up and ready to go as well, and that you're having a really good warm up and a cool down before sessions as well. I deep dive as well into your strength work and your yoga, and making sure that, as Trish said, it's really specific to what you need. Spending a bit of money and working with a PT that perhaps has experience of this, or has experience working with ultra runners, and will be looking at your form. Because you might be going to the gym and doing some exercises, but actually you could be leaning a little bit to one side to compensate for that tightness. And then actually the work that you're doing is not helping. It's almost encouraging the piriformis. So maybe working with a PT as well. One of the things you do have to keep doing with this syndrome is moving. So you're doing really well. So actually being active about it as well. Anyone else that suffers from it, you do have to keep, like any sort of like nerve damage like that, you have to keep moving in order for it to recover as well. Sorry you've got this, but it is a long term. It's not something that goes away. It's something probably that you have to keep on top of with in your running and active life as well. But that's
I think my physio phrased it as I was flossing the sciatic. I see I'd lie on my back and drag my knee into my chest, but instead of like a long hold for a stretch, I would just be kind of pump it.
Reminding it, keep moving, keep laughing. I like that.
Yeah, I agree with all of that as well. And I would just say, like Eddie hit on there, which was my point, but I had it stolen, was just the moving, how important that is. It's so easy to get into a negative headspace when you get an injury and it hurts every time you run. And people really discount walking for how beneficial it really is. And I'm always trying to emphasize that with athletes that I coach that pick up an injury like this, that's probably going to take a few weeks, a few months to heal. Get out walking, and you're doing that. If you can load that up a little bit, maybe rucksack, weight vest or something, just so you're really feeling like you're getting some benefits. So psychologically, that helps. You're building something in that's going to keep you really big and strong and robust and ready, so that when it does clear up, you're fit and your body knows how to run because it's been taking that load throughout the process, rather than just move on to biking or swimming. And then when you feel better and you're ready to run, your body is like, whoa, what's this? All this gravitational load, I'm not ready for it. So keep up with the walking, and then maybe think about loading up as well, I would say.
Having said that about cycling is a great way to check that you're equal on both sides, because if she's got a dominant side as well, while she's pedaling, you can really listen to the pedals and you can see if you're putting force down on one pedal more than the other. So it might be a good idea as well to put a little bit of bike work on with your gym work as well, because it's a great way to even yourself out as well. And the same with hill walking. If you go on the treadmill or if you do it outside, as you're going up the hill, you can feel you might have a side where you're putting on more effort, and you can really concentrate on your form and make sure that you're pushing the same amount of power and force through both sides. Use poles as well, and that will help you as well if you're putting weight on your back, making sure that you're not overdoing it.
Free weights are great like that too. If you go into the gym, sometimes a machine can hide a weakness on one side of your body, but if you do, say, dumbbells or something, then you can really appreciate which side is stronger or weaker than the other. Best of luck, Helen.
Good luck, Helen.
Got this, Helen.